Are we going to need Paul to enlighten us on what the crowd was like?
I could use some help because I have no idea.
You have no feel for it from the broadcast, from the TNT broadcast.
I couldn't tell you if anybody sang the anthem. I couldn't tell you if anybody chanted. I
don't get that.
It was a very strangely mic'd game. Let's Go Buffalo sounded like 5 people near the broadcast location. Like I'm at a game at Tacoma watching 10-year-olds play. And I'm sure it was the whole arena, but I never heard, you know what that sounds like. From being, even watching on TV, you can usually hear it. All I heard was like a group of people. The Canadian anthem is being sung, and I'm really paying attention, and I can't hear anything. And then eventually, 3/4 of the way through a song, I hear someone just go, woo, in the crowd during the anthem, which I thought meant no one's singing, because I can hear that guy.
Well, that's weird for me. I also watched on TNT. I could hear the fans sing the anthem. They sang, I thought, the Star Spangled Banner louder, which I thought would happen.
That's what I got on Twitter. I went right to Twitter like, well, I was wrong about the anthem. I guess it's not going to stick. And people were like, what are you talking about?
No, yeah. Well, her mic wasn't going to break.
Right. No, I knew that. I just, I couldn't tell. The audio was a disaster in this game last night, I thought.
Paul, is this all news to you? A new story to cover?
Paul doesn't care. Paul's at all these games. He doesn't care what's happening.
Yeah, I was there. The audio was great for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you, whichever one of you just said, the anthem, the U.S. anthem was very loud, and so was the Canadian. I think they both were louder than you normally would get when Cammie is singing. Usually they listen to her, and so I thought, yes, definitely. I thought the fans did a great job in Buffalo, because usually there is about 70-75% Montreal fans in there. And I would estimate maybe 10 to 15% this time, and they couldn't get going. The Montreal fans, anytime they might try, which was rare, they got drowned out by the Buffalo fans, and you didn't really even know they were there, other than you saw their red jerseys scattered about a little bit. So I thought, great job by Western New York, not only to keep your tickets and come to the game, but what they did once they got to the game.
It was a Montreal game I was at where you might have been the one to ask Dalene after the game about the makeup of the crowd, and he basically said, too much red.
I hope it's not, Right.
Yeah. It was, I think, the last one, I think, if you're
right.
That's right.
I'm not mistaken, and he got his wish.
He got his wish. Is he fine, Dalene?
Yeah, I asked him today, and he said that it hurt, because what the concern I would have is he went down, walked it off, which often happens when you block a shot. It almost always happens. And came back to the bench and sat down, but never played. There was enough time for him to play, because play went on after he sat down, and then there was a whistle, and then there was a timeout. So it's not like he's winded or anything, and that's when he would have been on the ice normally after the timeout, protecting a 2-goal lead.
Yeah.
He wasn't, and didn't play the rest of the game. Now, Lindy Ruff did say after the game, this is Lindy Ruff talking, he said, I had not talked to doctors, but I did walk by him and he seemed fine, is how he put it. But stressed that he had not talked to doctors. And then I asked Dalene today, and he said, it hurt, but he said, I am not injured.
Right.
This is how he put it.
He
was fine coming to the podium.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he was in stress or distress or anything like that. So it seems like he's okay.
Back of the leg, like back of the knee, like where did he get it?
Yeah, no
padding. Oh, right, okay.
He didn't want to say too much.
Okay, yeah.
He said more than Carrick, or not Carrick. I can't remember the injured player.
Norris.
Yes, he said more than Norris did.
Right.
But he just said, "Look, it hurt, but he goes, I am not injured."
The bottom line is he's fine.
I didn't see the contact, but I did notice him right away, like flexing his leg, and the play went on for a little bit. And when he hit the tunnel, I said to my wife, he's walking that off. Like that, it never scared me. Maybe if they're up 1 goal, he's back on the ice with a minute left.
Yeah.
It is amazing how you can just walk that out. It feels like you like broken 25 bones when it happens, and then you go down the tunnel or wherever and you walk for a bit, and it doesn't feel great, but it feels good enough that the sting and the hurt go away enough that you can function after that. And you got a big bruise,
You got a
but you're not.
spectacular bruise, yeah.
Yeah. But it's just amazing how it when it first happens, you feel like you're going to be out for the next 3 years, and then you can walk it off a little bit, and you're going to be fine.
My experience with that bruise is like there's almost like you can almost see the mark where the puck actually hit you. That's not bruised, and then everything around it is discolored, and there's purple and there's like yellow, and it's just all just gross.
Well, look, you should see the shin pads. I still have them, but I don't play hockey anymore because of concussions. But they're cracked from where pucks have hit them.
Right.
I mean,
right.
It's just like they're almost shattered because I've been wearing them since I was like 18 years old, and the elbow pads are falling apart. This is the same thing, but it really does a number.
I never got a clear look at it. I only mentioned back of the leg where there's no padding because I think that's what they said on the broadcast, on the telecast, that they thought that's where he got it. Maybe Pang said that he was between the benches. So anyway, Norris Trophy finalist, Paul. I don't love his chances to win it, but it's a step toward winning it to me to get nominated as a finalist. And so I'm excited to see him get that kind of recognition here.
I know it's up against Makar, but really after Pronger made his comments, it kind of woke me up to opinions across the hockey world. I mean, people were agreeing with Pronger, and saying how much he deserves it and everything. And I guess I just needed to be slapped across the head a little bit to realize, as far as what he was doing compared to others. So, me, I'm not going to predict who's going to win and who's not, but I think he's got a chance.
Sure.
Especially just, as I said, hearing a lot of what was said after Pronger and Elliot Friedman said what they said.
Well, I think you could win.
What's that?
I think you could win, too.
Yeah. We had a clip of Kevin Bieksa on Sportsnet or the CBC, whatever, prominent Canadian telecast of this game last night, talking about him like he thinks he should win it. So that's another guy, former defenseman in the league, sort of lining up with Pronger. So, yeah, I don't hate that. I just think he's in tough with those other two guys being a first-time finalist. But, yeah, he certainly could win it.
I think what Bieksa said, not to split hairs, is that he might have predicted that he would win. Maybe not that he would have voted for him or he thinks he should.
Okay.
But that, like, he used the term, it's kind of his year. And, that narrative stuff goes a long way with these things, right?
Yep.
He's the captain of a team that came out of nowhere and won the hardest division in hockey easily. And he had a point per game almost, Dalene. Like, there was nothing. Maybe some of the other metrics, or maybe Makar is just like too much of a wow factor. I mean, he's got the numbers too. But Dalene is an easy story. Plus his personal life.
Right.
Captain, I mean, just all of it kind of lines up well. That doesn't mean he has to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if he won.
I think when you bring in the personal life might be why he could be maybe the favorite for the Masterton.
Yeah.
How he's handled everything and just the way he is. What I like about him and Makar is they're complete defensemen. I can't stand the offensive Paul Coffey, Carlson. I loved it when Lidstrom basically dominated the award because what a defenseman he was. He could do anything. He could play D. He can play on the offensive end. I just might have been one of the best defensemen I've ever seen. I won't say he's the best defenseman ever because I didn't see Doug Harvey play or anything like that.
Come on, you can admit it.
It's kind of like I always say O.J. Simpson is the best running back I've ever seen. I didn't see Jim Brown. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, so I always do that. It's like, well, is he the best one I've ever seen? Whether he's the best one ever, I don't know. I wasn't born when some of these guys were playing.
Those elbow pads you talk about that are cracked. I mean, they were Doug Harvey elbow pads, weren't they? When you went over to Kupelos and bought those as a young lad.
Yeah, really.
Makar did not blow Dalene away like on the regular hockey card stats. 79 points in 75 games. He's got 20 goals.
The same.
But it's a very comparable year. Werenski, I think, is the one whose production. I got to look his numbers up here. Again, just the straight counting stats, 81 points.
All the same.
Yeah.
And you don't see Hughes here.
I thought there was somebody that, had elevated to the point where it was, statistically like, oh, yeah, that guy's obvious.
And Hughes is another one that can play at both ends of the rink. And
he's dynamite, yeah.
I just can't stand I don't care Carlson over 100 points or whatever. He's not a complete defenseman, and it just bothers me when somebody like that wins the award.
Hughes also almost identical, 76 points in 74 games, but he doesn't make the finalists list. And speaking of narratives, that's an easy one with how the Olympics went.
Right.
He was traded, which maybe doesn't help him, but he's not a contender anymore for the Norris Trophy.
Rasmus Dahlin did say today, he goes, when you're on a good team that starts winning, you start getting things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Indicating that now Werenski's not on a team that's winning, but still I think he's got a point in some of these awards.
Sure.
That your team starts winning and you're a big part of that, these things start coming your way.
And Hughes won the award 2 years ago when playing for Vancouver.
And Vancouver had a good year that year, didn't they?
Yeah, Tocchet as their coach, they were a playoff team. They were really good, and then the bottom just fell out amidst all this J.T. Miller, Elias Pettersson nonsense season before last. And then this year, Hughes put a gun to the head, and they had to get rid of him.
Were you with Dalene when the news had broken yet, or did it break after?
No, we were talking to Lyon when it broke. He came first.
All right, so
we
you
were
couldn't
talking
get a
to
reaction
Lyon,
from
and then remember last year they didn't have an award ceremony, didn't they? Like go to each person's home, like they went to a lake and handed them, oh, you just won the Norris Trophy, or you just won this trophy, or whatever. They didn't have an award ceremony last year, did they?
I was drafting.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I just remember them going to they're standing on a pier and the guy's in a boat and here's your award. You're the MVP. Hi, Connor Hellebuck. I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah. I don't recall now. Yeah.
Here you go. So I think, I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how they did it last year.
They ought to do that with the Stanley Cup. Just award it. The Sabres are a great story. Go to the lake, get a picture of the falls all lit up, blue and gold. One idea. Paul Hamilton on the Wester Hotline. How about last night's game, Paul? How would you describe it?
I agree with Lindy and St. Louis. It wasn't either one of the team's best efforts, but it wasn't awful. I mean, Lindy said maybe there was a little bit of rust or whatever, but they know how to win hockey games, and even in the third period, they got one shot, but I wouldn't say they got run over or they're lying to save their bacon.
It surprised me when I heard they only had one shot in the period. I wasn't paying attention to the shot clock, and it didn't feel like a period where they'd only had one shot.
Well, Bulldog, when I thought about it, remember that Zucker made the great play to Quinn in front. He missed the net.
Yep.
And I think there might have been a couple of blocked where they earned some offensive chances that got blocked.
Mm-hmm.
So it just didn't seem like they were getting run over by any means. They know how to finish games like that, and I never thought to myself, this is getting close. They better watch themselves here.
Yeah, the scariest part of the game, I would say for me, with that in mind, was near the end of the second period. After the Doc goal, it made it 4-2. I thought Montreal was really buzzing at the end of the second period, and I was feeling all kinds of don't get me to 4-3 going to the room, hang on to this 2-goal lead, and they managed to do that. But that was the most, I think, on their heels. I think the Sabres looked to me all night was late second after it became 4-2.
And the other thing was, and Lindy, I talked to Lindy Ruff about this, and he kind of disagreed with me somewhat. There was no disagreement for whatever reason. Thompson line was going against the Suzuki line, and Lindy is the last change. And he said, that wasn't my plan. That's not really what I wanted, but he goes, I stayed with it. And I think he stayed with it because I thought that what I thought was, and the question I asked was, did those two lines cancel each other out because they did a really good job defending against each other? I didn't really remember a lot of chances 5-on-5 for either line. And then Lindy goes, well, I'll disagree with you a little bit here. And then he went over a couple of chances by the Thompson line. And then he said, But that wasn't when Suzuki was on the ice. He said that twice. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, that's what I'm pointing out here.
Right. Right.
But and then I asked him right at the we were done, and he was walking off, and I said, well, answer me this. I said, did you feel the Thompson line did a good job defending the Suzuki line? He goes, yeah, I did. He goes, they gave up, I think, one scoring chance to him, when they were together, on the ice. So it was an interesting choice by Lindy Ruff, I thought, to do that.
I agree.
But they both, I thought, defended each other, and I still kind of think they kind of eliminated each other by doing that.
I want to try this on you and you as well, Mike. I wonder, it's the playoffs, but it's game one of a series. And I know Mike and I were like-minded, and Paul, I'm sure I brought you into this. Like, I love the idea of how they started the game with Benson, Doan, and Norris against that line, right? They got last change, so the Montreal turns in their lineup. Mm-hmm. They're starting that line. Okay, this is our matchup. And right away, power play. And then 5 minutes later, it's the first goal of the game. And that is that same matchup, and they just boat raced them up the ice. It's fortunate that Hudson lost his balance and fell on the play to create the odd man rush. But nonetheless, like that looks like the matchup. And then as the game went on, like you're saying, it was, Thompson. And I wonder if Lindy didn't maybe look at it as, well, I trust this Benson line. I'm going to call it the Benson line, even though Norris is the center. I trust that line. It's a long series. I'm not going to have last change up in Montreal. Right, I may have to get used to settling for, like, what's my second choice? And you might want to find out as early as you can what that looks like and what that feels like. And again, I know it's dangerous to be experimenting in a playoff game like that, but you got to find out, right? So I thought maybe that was a little bit what was going on. Like, how is this going to work for me when I don't have a choice?
And I think maybe it wound up that way for a shift or two, and he thought, well, yeah, this one, all right.
Right.
All right, if they want to do this, I'm not gonna go against it. And the really biggest mistake was Thompson turned it over, but that was against Doc. That wasn't against the Suzuki line, and that wound up in the net. Other than that, I thought the Thompson line did very well defensively. Hey, Thompson's human. Everybody turns the puck over. Everybody makes a mistake. But overall, I think they did a nice job against the Suzuki line.
Ruff now up to 76 playoff wins as a coach, fourth most among coaches who do not have a Stanley Cup to their credit. In order by wins, Pete DeBoer is number one. Then it's the late Pat Quinn and Alain Vigneault. Ruff can catch and pass Vigneault for playoff wins if the Sabres win this round. Paul Hamilton on the West Her hotline. If Carrick is ready, does he go in 100%?
That's interesting. No, wouldn't say 100%. Just because they won the game, and I really like Kozak. I thought that line performed very well. That was by far Greenway's best game, and I'm not just saying it because he scored. Mm-hmm. He had 5 hits. He was great on the wall. He won battles. The whole line. On his goal. First of all, Greenway did a great job to set up Carrier to screen the goaltender, and then you've got Kozak taking Matheson to the net. You got a flash screen right there that just had gotten by Dobish when the shot was coming, but I'm sure it distracted him. And when the shot was coming off the stick, he couldn't have seen, but it had gone by him where maybe the puck is on its way. But by that time, he's screened by the defenseman. And the puck kind of hits his glove, and you could see him look over to the left as it's kind of hitting his glove. And that was one thing I wanted to talk to Owen about, because he was talking this morning that goaltender can't give that up, and I didn't have a chance to elaborate with him. And my thought was, what does he mean? Does he mean a screen goaltender should maybe have his glove up further,
right,
and he didn't have the glove in the right position to give him the odds to make the save, even though he can't see it? So, I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to talk to him about that, probably tomorrow. But, you look at – I don't really blame him for any of the goals. The bang-bang plays that are basically going into the empty net on tic-tac-toe, and you got 2 screens. The Doan screened on the Byram one, too. I really wouldn't blame Dobish on any of the 4 goals.
I like this, too. The leader in ice time for the Sabres, I believe, was Samuelson at about 21:30, maybe 21:35. Hudson was almost 27 minutes. Like, the Sabres really didn't have to strain at all in this game. I mean, they played with the lead.
Yep.
And there's no 25 to 30 minute
Even though they were without Stanley for like the back half of the first period.
Right. Like,
and Lindy said he likes the fact that he can basically roll his lines. He goes, it's very comforting to know that, because he's not afraid to put the Kozak line out against maybe the other team's best line. That does not faze him at all. He thinks they're good enough defensively that it's fine if it winds up being that. So he said he likes the fact that he can just roll his lines and not be extremely worried about who's out against who and that type of thing, because he trusts them all the way. And I didn't finish with Kozak. I just thought he was around the net all night. He was laying in the crease one time. I thought he was great on the forecheck. So to say that Carrick is definitely going in if he can, I don't know what Lindy would think, because it wasn't the team's best game. It wasn't like the Boston Game 6 where you wouldn't have wanted to change anything. But they did win.
It is
and
still
they won
a winning
at
lineup.
home.
Yeah, right.
So,
and it wasn't that stressful.
Right.
On the scoreboard. All right, Paul. Well, thanks for taking our questions, and we'll talk tomorrow.
We should do it at a podium if I'm taking questions. I mean, come on.
I imagine you at a podium right now. That's how I've been picturing this. That backdrop behind you with the sponsors, even though we can't see it.
Right.
They're not getting their money's worth.
No. Well, it just says Relax Honda. Relax, we got this.